Good evening. Hope everybody's doing okay. This is going to be a quick run through of the creation of political parties. Since we've been talking about the president and the executive branch, this is going to be our launching point for political parties. Our first president was George Washington. He was the first person in the executive branch to make all the decisions, so he was the first to do everything as far as our government is concerned with the executive branch. He realized he was taking on a big job, so he needed to pick people to help him out. So he picked a cabinet of advisors, and these people were helping him with his day-to-day task of being a president. The first three positions he chose was the Secretary of War, the Secretary of State, and the Secretary of Treasury. When Washington makes these actions, or when he takes these actions, it's the first time these actions have ever been taken, and so it is known as a precedent. So it was the first time that he did something, and now all presidents followed that suit or followed the same thing that George Washington did in that first initial picking of the cabinet. Now back to the point of political parties. The two people who he put into a position in his cabinet, they did not like each other. Their hatred and their dislike for one another stemmed all the way back from the debates of the Federalists and Anti-Federalists. You have Thomas Jefferson and Alexander Hamilton. Thomas Jefferson represented the Department of the State, and he dealt with foreign affairs, and Alexander Hamilton dealt with the finances. He was a part of the Department of Treasury. Jefferson and Hamilton had differing viewpoints and opinions on the way the government should be run and the way it should be set up. Thomas Jefferson distrusted a strong central government, and he wanted to make sure that states still had rights, so he wanted a strong state government and local government as well. That way the needs of the people are met. Alexander Hamilton, on the other hand, he distrusted the majority of the people in the United States. He didn't think the lowly, uneducated people were qualified to make the decisions that would impact the lives of all the people in America. So Alexander Hamilton wanted a strong government that was run by the elite and the highly educated. The biggest difference between these two men came to the Constitution. They both had different beliefs on the way the Constitution should be interpreted. Thomas Jefferson believed that the Constitution should be followed word for word, that there was no room to wiggle around and make decisions that the Constitution didn't say we had the right to. Alexander Hamilton, on the other hand, thought that the way the Constitution was written, with our elastic clause, with the necessary and proper clause, that we should have a loose interpretation, and that the Constitution allows for us to do certain things that are not necessarily specifically written in the Constitution. So a strict interpretation, which was a belief of Thomas Jefferson, versus a loose interpretation, which is a belief of Alexander Hamilton, is what really begins to separate the two men. Now, because of this separation and because of this belief in differing opinions, this is going to lead to our first two parties. Our first two political parties are going to be our Federalists and our Democratic Republicans. Now, our Federalists were Alexander Hamilton, John Marshall, and they believe in a strong national government and a loose interpretation of the Constitution. Our Democratic Republicans are going to be Thomas Jefferson, James Madison. These people believe in a strong state government, and they believe that the Constitution should be followed word for word. This is going to lead to the eventual creation and development of other political parties into what we have with our modern day two-majority system or two-party system of Democrats and Republicans. As we further look into the evolution of political parties, we'll see how we get to this modern day or present day Democrat versus Republican political party system. That's it for tonight. Thank you.